Hello guys, good morning and welcome back to our video tutorial. Um, we had, I think we stopped at subnetting, that is chapter 7 and 8, IP address, network layer, blah blah blah. So today I just get past that, and I hope you guys are going to do a lot of practice or practical on subnetting and to have better understanding of subnetting. So today we're gonna be on transport layer, so we have to finish we should finish the CCNA routing and switching semester 1 next week Tuesday if possible, so that we can start semester 2, and before that I can try to give you guys your exams online. Okay guys, so I hope you're with me on this. Now today's chapter here, we're going to be talking about the transport layer, and we'll explain how transport layer and protocols and services support communication. And then we'll talk about the protocols that are involved in the transport layer, that's the TCP and UDP. So we'll have to explain the purpose of the transport layer and the characteristics of the TCP and the UDP protocols. And we compare the operation of the transport layer protocols in supporting end-to-end communication. So from there exactly we go into the chapter. So I'll explain this chapter properly and make sure that you guys understand it the best way you can. So the transport layer protocol is responsible for establishing a temporary communication session between two applications. Let's say, for instance, I have an email that I want to send, and what protocol or application layer protocol am I going to use to send those email? And my recipient, that is the person I'm sending this, what application layer protocol that this person is going to use. So if I am sending out an email, I will either use POP or IMAP to send an email to somebody, and what protocol would the person at the other side use to receive this email? Or I am requesting a web access from my computer to another computer, or maybe a HTTP or FTP file, so it has to go through. So all this, it has to create a temporary session, that if the time that I start to send this to the time that it ends, that is a temporary session. As soon as my file is received by the recipient, the session is closed. Okay, so that's why they call it as a temporary session, but it does this either reliably or unreliably depending on the protocol type that is used by the transport layer. So the transport layer link between the application layer and the lower layers that are responsible for the network transmission, and that is when you're talking about the TCP IP model that is having 4 layers. That is the application layer, the transport internet layer, and the network access layer. But we have to know that with the OSI layer we have 7 layers, and I explained those 7 layers in a previous video, and I hope you guys are going to watch that again and again. So some of the responsibilities of each of the layers were explained, but here particularly in the transport layer we have to talk about these few responsibilities of the transport layer. What it does is that it tracks conversation, that is, it tracks individual conversations and then make sure that those conversations flow between the source and the destination application. Let's say, for instance, what I was explaining between the POP, IMAP, SMTP, the FTP, HTTP, and stuff like that. Between them, it tracks that, the individual conversations. And then the segmentation is a responsibility. What it does, the transport layer makes sure that it segments. In other words, it cut the individual communications into pieces so that they can be easily maneuvered, they can be easily transmitted. And then it makes sure that it gives each segment with an identification number, and those identification numbers are what will be used to ensure that even with multiple applications running a device, all applications will receive the correct data via port numbers, and each of the port numbers will have an identification. So each application has a port number that identifies that application. So the transport layer tracks each individual conversation that is flowing between source application and the destination application, and to make sure that this is done reliably or in some cases unreliable. So the conversation multiplexing, what do we mean by multiplexing in the networking terms? Multiplexing is that we have multiple communications that can be using the same stream of communication channel, and then they will interleave without affecting each other, because each conversation will be identified or will be tagged with an identification number, or in other words a segment header that would be used to guide those individual conversations, and then they will not be mixed with other communications. So that means different communications will be using the same channel and they can interleave without affecting each other. That's what multiplexing is about. Okay guys, so you can do multiple things at the same time without affecting one another. In other cases, I can just use an example. I can be using my laptop to be on video conversation. The same laptop I am sending text message, the same laptop at the same time I am sending an email, at the same time I am researching. I have multiple windows that are operating at the same time on the same device, and they all use the same cable towards my switch and from there towards my router. So all these individual communications come from different applications or different protocols, and then they will all have to interleave without affecting one another. I hope that is clear. So the transport layer has two protocols, that is the TCP and the UDP. And the TCP provide reliable conversation and reliable transport of data, whilst UDP does not provide any form of reliability. And then they all have their fields. Okay, so we're going to talk about those